Have you ever wondered about the men in the Bible who chose to live alone, without a partner by their side? What can we learn from their lives, and how does their solitude offer us a deeper understanding of purpose, faith, and strength? In a world that often emphasizes the importance of romantic relationships, it's easy to forget that some of the most impactful figures in the Bible lived their lives without a partner. Let's dive into the stories of these remarkable individuals who show us that sometimes being alone can lead to some of the most profound journeys of faith and purpose. Let's take a moment to explore what the Bible really says about being single. In fact, there's more to the story than just the lonely, abandoned figure many might imagine. We're talking about men who were chosen by God to carry out His plans. Men whose solitude was not a result of circumstance, but a deliberate choice for a greater calling. Jesus Christ Himself, the central figure of Christianity, never married. His single life was not one of neglect, but one of total devotion to His mission. For centuries, His example has shown us that living a life of purpose doesn't necessarily require a romantic partner. His journey, marked by solitude and sacrifice, challenges us to think differently about what it means to be whole. But there's more. Men like Paul and Elijah also lived their lives in ways that might seem unconventional to us today. They embraced their roles without the need for a traditional family life. Through their stories, we discover powerful lessons on strength, dependence on God, and living out one's divine purpose, regardless of the absence of a romantic relationship. First, let's explore the life of Jesus Christ, the ultimate example of living without a romantic partner. Throughout the Gospels, we read of His travels, teachings, and ultimate sacrifice, all while living without the companionship of a wife. The Bible doesn't mention Jesus ever being in a romantic relationship, and yet His life was full of love, compassion, purpose, and connection with God. Jesus' decision to remain single was not a sign of isolation or loneliness, but rather a reflection of His dedication to His mission. He knew that His purpose on earth was to spread God's message of love and redemption. In fact, His entire ministry was based on the idea that relationships with God and with others in faith were far more significant than any romantic bond. This is especially evident in passages like Matthew 19:12, where Jesus acknowledges that some choose celibacy for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. The message here isn't that relationships are bad. It's simply that there's more to life than romantic love. Jesus, in His single state, showed the world that it's possible to live a full and meaningful life while being single, as long as your purpose aligns with something greater than yourself. Next, we turn to Paul, another prominent figure in the Bible who chose the path of celibacy. In 1 Corinthians 7:7, Paul speaks about the gift of singleness, expressing his belief that those who are single can serve God more fully. He says, "I wish that all of you were as I am, but each of you has your own gift from God. One has this gift, another has that." For Paul, singleness was a way to dedicate his energy completely to spreading the gospel. Paul's writings in the New Testament emphasize that while marriage is a beautiful thing, it isn't for everyone. He recognized that those who remain single have the unique opportunity to focus on their spiritual growth and their service to others, without the distractions that marriage and family can sometimes bring. In today's world, where there's often a social pressure to pair up, Paul's words ring true. Singleness is not a curse, but a gift. It's a chance to grow spiritually and serve others without being tied down to the expectations that come with a romantic relationship. Let's also consider Elijah, the great prophet who spent much of his life alone in the wilderness. Though his story is filled with dramatic moments of confrontation and miracles, one of the most striking things about Elijah's life is his solitude. At several points, God specifically instructed Elijah to go into hiding or to stand alone. His time alone in the wilderness was not about isolation, it was about spiritual preparation and strength. When Elijah faced the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel, he stood alone in faith. Even when he fled in fear from Queen Jezebel, Elijah found himself in moments of solitude where God spoke to him, not through the wind, earthquake, or fire, but in a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19:12. Elijah's life teaches us that God's presence can be most profoundly felt in our moments of solitude. In these men's stories, we see that solitude doesn't equate to loneliness. Instead, it becomes an opportunity for self-reflection, growth, and a deeper connection with God. Each of these men was able to focus on their divine mission and, in doing so, became stronger in their faith and service to others. So, what can we learn from these men who lived without romantic partners? The message is clear. Solitude can be powerful when it is used for a greater purpose. Jesus, Paul, and Elijah all showed us that being single is not a flaw or something to be pitied. Rather, it can be a choice that allows you to dedicate yourself more fully to your faith, your purpose, and your service to others. In a world that often places so much importance on romantic relationships, their stories remind us that there is more to life than just finding a partner. You can live a full, rich, and meaningful life by following the example of these great biblical figures, finding purpose in God, growing spiritually, and living out your faith, regardless of your relationship status. What do you think about the concept of singleness in the Bible? Have you ever considered how living alone can deepen your relationship with God? Leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights on biblical lessons and how they can apply to our everyday lives. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes being alone is exactly where you need to be to grow the most.